Okay, so it's been quite a while since I made a video. 2 years it was? Yeah, 2 years. But I decided to bring it back because I now have a lot more free time on me. So, yeah, this is not the grandest return, but a return. And today we're gonna do a quadruple fight of the male Muto going up and fighting against Mothra, and they're going up against Rodan, the big firebird, or demon as they call it. And they're going to go up against Skar King, the literal, just most psychotic ape you're gonna find ever. Well, so who's gonna win? Let's find out. And first off, I want to start off with Skar King, because I think my man gets so underrated, especially how he was treated in the movie. And people don't even realize how good of a villain he was. Like, just look at Suko right now. This man is a great villain. But we're not here for him being a villain. We're here to see how well he'll fight. So, how well can he fight? Well, Skar King is strong enough to fight against Kong, even with his axe. And yeah, at first, Kong was struggling. Skar King managed to use his whip and cut Kong up. And then even after that, he just kept dodging Kong. Managed to give Kong a good fight at first. Managed to even take away his axe at one point. Kong could not hit Skar King at first. Really, it seemed like Skar King was getting the edge. And then finally, he managed to start choking Kong. And Kong was struggling. Although, to be fair, he did manage to get the upper hand on Skar King. And yeah, it was said Skar King was gonna lose the fight after Kong managed to overpower him. But gotta give credit where credit's due. He did pretty well against Kong at first. Also, I think there was a part of Kong that just kind of saw himself as the only hope there was for the other apes. I mean, it could have happened, and that's my reasoning of why he actually managed to overpower Skar King at the end. But we'll just pretend that part didn't happen, and that's just what was happening. I mean, just look at this scene. Just absolutely sent Kong flying off his. And then, even before that, Skar King was strong enough to absolutely kick another ape flying into lava. So yeah, Skar King is pretty impressive. And then in the second fight, Skar King managed to again get his hits in on Kong. Although his Beast Club did make the hits a lot less effective. But still, he got his hits in and managed to stagger Kong a bit. Although it wasn't zero gravity. And eventually Kong did gain the edge. In his third fight, he managed to absolutely send part of a building flying with his whip. And managed to kick Kong around, send him flying into Shimo's mouth. So yeah, Skar King's pretty strong. And that's not even talking about durability. Just fighting against Kong is an impressive feat. This is the same Kong that did manage to absolutely send Godzilla flying with a punch. Same Kong who was doing this to Godzilla. Managed to get him on the ropes for a second. Although, to be fair, he didn't really want to kill Godzilla. But still, managed to put Godzilla on the ropes for a few seconds. Yet, here's Skar King, still taking punches from Kong. Still taking kicks and other attacks from Kong. And still getting back up. So, that's Skar King. But next up, we got Rodan, the fire demon. So, what can Rodan do? Rodan can fly so fast that he can literally destroy an entire village of people. Literally destroy the village. she's easily caught and destroyed fighter jets while they're in the... And then he managed to fight against Ghidorah for a little bit. Actually got on top. Was a real annoying Titan to deal with. Although didn't last too long against Ghidorah. And then he managed to fight against Mothra. Managed to put up a real good fight against him. Actually had Mothra on the ropes really hard. Like, seriously. Mothra did struggle in this fight against him. But, again, in true Rodan, he got a little too confident for himself. And got stabbed through the shoulder. Ouch. But I think that just goes to show how tough Rodan is. It just shows he can survive attacks from Mothra. Like, really deep stabs from Mothra. Next up we got Mothra, and, well, she's the Queen of the Monsters. In King of the Monsters, Mothra was able to fight against Rodan for a little while. Mothra managed to slam Rodan on the ground pretty painfully. And then Mothra, well, she managed to stab Rodan right through the shoulder. Like, clean through the shoulder. And then GXK, Mothra managed to send Godzilla absolutely flying. Yeah, Godzilla. And the thing about Mothra is that she isn't just super strong or super tough. She is, like, taking attacks from Rodan tough, who can fight against Ghidorah for a bit. It's more that she's just super fast. Like, able to compete with Rodan fast. The guy who can literally keep up with fighter jets. But it's also that Mothra can just web up pretty much any Titan. I mean, any Titan. Kong, Ghidorah, any Titan isn't safe from her webbing. And if you're able to web up Ghidorah, of all Titans, make it even so he can escape without... I think that really puts you in a top spot. And finally, the male Muto. And I think he's last in every single feat here. Yeah, he's strong enough to fight against Godzilla, even pull Godzilla around for a little bit, and take lighter attacks from Godzilla. It just isn't the same thing. And remember, this is the weakest Godzilla, not from the comics we've seen, just from the movies. And yet, here's what happened when Godzilla finally got one good hit on the male Muto. This happened. And it's not like the male Muto was really giving Godzilla a good fight at first. I mean, every fight in a 1v1 scenario, he was losing. He had to keep running away. It was only in that 2v1 scenario that he really got a chance to get his hits in on Godzilla. And even his speed and agility, it's still not too impressive. I mean, he dodged Godzilla, but that's just not the same as what the others are. I'm talking dodging Kong's attacks with literal no effort. Like, literally no effort at flying literally at Mach speed and literally outflying fighter jets. And even Mothra, who can compete with Rodan with speed. The male Muto just doesn't have those same feats as the other type. At his best, I think the male Muto is faster and a bit more agile than Skar King, but that's his best. And I don't even think he's reached that level yet. And even with his strength feats, well, Skar King has fought against Kong. Mothra pushed Godzilla around and was fighting against Mothra. And Rodan was able to fight against Mothra and could fight against Ghidorah for a little bit. There's really no other option but to eliminate the male Muto. And if you watch my male Muto versus Mothra video, this would be pretty obvious. Next up to go, it would probably have to be Rodan. And that is pretty surprising. And don't get me wrong, Rodan is pretty tough. and he's taken literally everything that humans could throw at him. Missiles, bullets, nothing could put him down. And he even managed to survive being hit head-on by Ghidorah. But King of the Monsters showed that Rodan, at his best, wasn't equal to Mothra, at his best. And yet, Mothra still managed to win. And that was a Mothra who didn't even have the feats of Godzilla X Kong yet. Don't get me wrong, Rodan would be hard to put down for Mothra or Skar King. But I think at the end of it, they would both beat Rodan, whoever fought him. And again, we have to mention that Mothra in Godzilla X Kong was actually fighting against the apes, not just how she fought against Rodan or Ghidorah. So yeah, I hate to say it, but Rodan is painfully coming in. So the real fight is gonna have to come down between Skar King and Mothra. And that's including Mothra with her new GXK feats. And this is a tough, and I love both of these titans, so it's hard not to be biased, but I'll try not to be. And you could actually argue that with what Mothra's shown here, webbing up other Kongs, well, she could probably do the same thing with Skar King, or at the very least, his whip. But there comes the problem with Skar. Skar King is scary, fast, and agile. He managed to disarm, he managed to dodge Kong's attacks. Both him and Mothra are roughly around the same strength. Skar King fought against Kong. Kong did overpower Skar King at the end. And Mothra managed to send Godzilla flying. Although, it was a Godzilla who didn't have time to brace for that impact. So yeah, they're roughly around the same in strength. They're also roughly around the same in durability. I give the slight edge to Skar King. Managed to take some attack from Kong. But at the same time, Mothra did take an absolutely brutal beating by Rodan. Even got set on fire. So they're still around the same durability. But it's just Skar King's speed and agility that really makes it hard for me to say that he would win or Mothra would win. Because while Skar King definitely isn't as fast and agile as Mothra, I also just can't say Mothra's webbing is going to move fast enough to actually trap Skar King. It could happen, but Skar King is just so fast and agile. Now, if Skar King does get trapped with the silk, well, he is done for. The other apes couldn't get out of it. Ghidorah had trouble getting out of it. Actually, he wouldn't have gotten out of it if Kevin didn't save them, or Godzilla didn't destroy the building. So I'm doubting Skar King would actually be able to free himself. Just look at this scene. Kevin didn't have a big strand on his face, so he managed to actually kind of help his other brothers. But even then, even Kevin couldn't break the silk Mothra made. So ahead of Ghidorah couldn't free themselves from the silk. I don't think Skar King can. But that's if Mothra can even hit Skar King. And that's just where the problem keeps coming back. If Mothra can't hit Skar King from a far enough distance to where Skar King can't hit her, she'll have to move in close. And that's where I think Skar King's strength will give him the edge. Because while Mothra can fight against Rodan, and I think she'd do even better this time than last time, you still have to understand that Rodan was and had Mothra on the ropes for a bit. So in close range, Skar King will have the edge against Mothra. I'm going back and forth, and I understand that. Because if Skar King gets trapped, Mothra will finish him off with her stinger. But I just don't see that happening. And I see Mothra having to get in close. If she gets in close, and when Mothra gets close, Skar King can just use his whip to hold Mothra at bay, or even cut off one of her wings. Remember, the same whip that managed to cut up Kong. So yeah, I think Mothra could win a few fights. Mothra's shown she's a lot more powerful than what she was in King of the Monsters. And already she beat Rodan then. She managed to web up other Kongs, outmaneuver those Kongs, even managed to push around Godzilla. But I just don't think her durability is enough to survive Skar King. Mothra definitely can take some punches from Skar King, no doubt about it, but it's just his whip that gives him that slight edge. Because if he can't hit her and she can't hit him, one of them will have to get close, and that's where Skar King can and will win. I think Mothra will win a few fights out of 10, probably 4 out of 10 fights, but at the end of it, I think Skar King's gonna win this fight. Yeah, Skar King's gonna win this one. Skar King wins. Also, friendly reminder, guys, I'm finally back, and I'm gonna try to start posting weekly now. So yeah, just let me know what fights you'd like to see, and I'll probably make a video on it. Bye.